Now, as a completely separate function, we have the function of emotions. This is the function we have to understand better in order to understand the mechanism of identification, because identification is very much tied, as we will see, to that function, to that center. You see, the thing about emotions is that they're not verbal. So I can describe the intellectual center with words, as I just did. But the emotional center I can analyze and define, and yet I miss the point because emotions are not words, are not ideas, they're feelings. And so to explore our emotional center, I want to look together at a sequence of emotional images. These images here you see before you. They're about 2,000 years old, amazingly. They are funerary portraits, which means they were placed on like sarcophagus or the coffin of the deceased 2,000 years ago. Yes, we're speaking about ancient Egypt. I want you to look at her. Remember, we're trying to understand the emotional center. And I want you to see how quickly you form an emotional impression about how she was when she was alive. How can we do that? Without reading any information, you see, without using our intellectual center. How can we do that? Nobody told us anything about her. Nobody alive knows anything about her. 2,000 years ago, she died. And yet, we look at her like this and we get a certain emotional impression because we have an emotional center. Eva, what is your emotional impression of this woman?
I would say sadness, disappointment, suffering, pain.
Sadness, disappointment, suffering, pain. Very good. Armando, how about you? Armando, what is your emotional impression of this woman deceased now for 2,000 years?
Well, that I can observe of that woman is, sorry, is practically the same description like sadness mainly. And I can see the expression on his lips, mainly in the eyes, in his eyes. And let's say that quite a few in the I don't know what's the right word, but in the posture, I think she project some sadness mainly. It's my impression about it.
Thank you, Armando. Rahil, if I forced you, why is she sad?
Um, she looked quite willful and a little stubborn to me. So I think maybe she's um, maybe posing for the portrait against her will, or is otherwise wanting to do something that she's not being allowed to do. She looks quite stern and, yeah, stubborn.
Okay, very interesting. Take this. Great, Rahil, you gave me exactly what I needed. Let's say she's posing for this portrait against her will. Okay? Mom, no, I don't want to, Mom. No, no, you're going to do it. We paid this painter a lot of money. You have to do it. Okay, here I am. Let's say, now, of course, this is imagination. We have no evidence whatsoever that this is what happened. But Rahil sees willfulness, and that's not imagination. He gets a certain emotional impression of willfulness from her. And then his intellectual center has projected one possibility. You see, there's an emotional impression first. She looks willful. She looks like she's not happy to be there. And then our mind, our intellectual center, offers one of many possible scenarios. I insisted, Rahil, thank you for that. You see why. I want us all to see how these two centers function together. It's very important if we want to seriously understand identification. I'm going to show you now another portrait of a different Fayum deceased person. But as I show it to you, I want you to remember yourselves, observe yourselves forming an emotional impression of him. This is going to be a man. Okay, I'm going to say it again. We're going to move to another image. I want you to try to be aware of your emotional center, creating an impression. Ah, he's like this or he's like that. Is it clear what I'm asking? I want you to be aware of your emotions in real time. Okay, it is not a common thing. It is not a common effort we do, but we have to learn to do it in this work. So here's the lady. Here's the man. Observe your emotions. What do you see about this man? How do you read him emotionally? John.
I saw him playful. He has like a spark, a touch of happiness. He seems content and open to anything that comes his way. That's the emotion I got.
Thank you, John. John, could you see yourself making these perceptions? It's fine if not.
Yes, step by step.
Okay, very good.
Yes.
John, if you went on vacation, you and your whole family, and you had to leave the dog, would you let this man watch your dog for a week?
Yes.
Me too, right?
Yes.
He's a good man. He looks reliable. He has it in him. You know what I mean? This is our emotional center. This is how it works. It forms impressions on people that are not intellectual. Nobody wrote anything about this man. Nobody gossiped to us about this man. It is the first time we ever see him. Very good. I'm going to show you a third and last portrait, and let's do the same, okay? Let's observe ourselves creating an emotional impression on her. It's going to be a woman now. See if we can catch our emotions in real time as they manifest. What do you see on this lady? Pedro, what do you see?
She stopped crying some minutes
Oh,
before this picture. Like her eyes and around her eyes are wet. I think something like that.
very, very sweet, Pedro. I couldn't have formulated it so well, but now that you say it, it sounds very right. She stopped crying a few moments before the portrait. How strange, isn't it, that that would be the self-portrait you choose? I mean, look at social media today. Here I am happy in this, here I am happy doing that. These are like the diametrical opposite to what we associate with portraits today. Yes, she was just crying, Pedro. I agree. Or anyway, something definitely is weighing on her. And then we took her portrait. How strange. How strange a thing to put on your coffin, Pedro, for eternity. But that's how they did it. So we see we have emotional centers. We see how different they are from intellectual centers. We can also see how both afford us something we would lack if we didn't have. For example, if we didn't have intellectual centers, we may still be able to form an emotional impression of the portraits, but we would not be able to communicate it as we did today. If we only had intellectual centers, we could speak a lot about the portraits, but it would not be coming from direct emotional observation. It would be theoretical. Both working together afford us some very interesting capacities. In the previous 3-day gathering in January, we kind of anchored it on this quotation. It was on self-remembering. And we kept coming back to this quotation from Gurdjieff, where he said, when you become aware not only of what you're doing, but also of yourself doing it, you see both I and the here of I am here. This is self-remembering. Now, remember, I asked you when you look at the portrait to be aware of your emotions being generated. If you were able to do that, that is a dimension of self-remembering. And a special one when it comes to emotions, by the way. An important one, a deeper one. So, when you're able to see both I, or sense both I and here, you are remembering yourself. In contrast, from Ouspensky, he says, we become too absorbed in things, too lost in things, particularly when the slightest emotional element appears. This is called identification. Now, too lost in things, too absorbed in things, is exactly the opposite of maintaining a sense of I and here. You see what I mean? I and here, self-remembering. When I lose the I and get absorbed in the image, in the situation, I become identified. This is identification.